Hello everyone. Starting from this video, we are getting into one of the most important programming techniques in the industry. We will talk about classes, objects, constructors, and many other jargons of IT industry. These are very important concepts for even cracking developers interview when you start searching for jobs. With this video, we start object-oriented programming in Python. It's also abbreviated as OOP. In object-oriented programming, we think of everything as objects. Objects can have attributes, which are properties of an object, and methods, which are behaviors an object can exhibit. For example, if you are creating game character, that character may have number of lives, speed, and it may have some specific weapon. And that character can exhibit some behaviors like it can collect points, it can jump, or probably it can fight. To take another example, if we are modeling an animal, that animal may have number of legs, eyes, etc. Those attributes are specific to that specific instance of the animal. It can also walk, eat, or sleep. Those are the behaviors which will be defined in the form of a method. Let's create a new file, app.py, and create a very simple class. Class is simply a blueprint of objects. For example, every person may have 2 legs, 2 eyes, and 2 hands. So person can be a class, but each person has different skin tone and different hairs. So each person is a different instance or object of a person class. To create a class, we use the class keyword followed by class name. If you look at it, it's very similar to function definition. We were using def keyword to define a function, but for classes, we use class keyword. While naming classes, we use Pascal case convention. That means the first letter of each word should be uppercase. If you have more than one word in a class name, for example, bank account, we can write it like this. Just like variable naming, there cannot be spaces between each word. We are creating a person class, and this is a block. Inside this, we can simply write pass, and this creates a very simple class in Python. This keyword pass can be used to complete any block. It doesn't do anything, but it simply makes this block a valid block. We can create different instances of this class using class name and a pair of parentheses. Let's open Python interactive shell and start creating new objects. Let's import our person class from main file. Now we have got this person class imported in this environment. We can create an instance of the person class using the class name followed by a pair of parentheses. When I say instance or object of a class, it means the same thing. Let's assign it to a variable person1 and check the type of this variable person1. We get back class app.person. We can also check if this is an instance of a specific class using isInstance function. IsInstance function takes an object and a class and it returns Boolean result. If the object we are passing is an instance of the given class, it will return true, else it returns false. Is number1 an instance of int, and we get back true. If I try person1 is instance of int, I get back false. If I pass person1 and class name person to this function, I get back true. person1 is instance of the person class. If I try to print person1, I get back this app.person object at this specific memory location. This is the memory location in hexadecimal number format for this specific object. If I create another object person2 equals person, and now if I check person2, it gives different memory location for this new object. So each object is created in a different memory location and they are independent of each other. As I mentioned earlier, Python classes can have different attributes. So let's add an attribute age to our person class with a default value of 21. Now to load these new changes, I will have to restart the Python shell. So let's exit it and restart our shell. Import our classes from the main module. If I create a new instance of person class Joseph, to access its member variable age, we can use dot notation. To access Joseph's age, I can write joseph.age. It has value 21. I can also modify his age like joseph.age equals 25. And now if I check his age again, it has this new value of 25. If I create a new person, Alina, and check her age, she is 21. So each objects have their own attribute values, as we can see with these two instances of the person class. We saw how objects have different attributes, but as I mentioned, they can also have different behaviors. They can have methods defined for performing specific actions. Don't worry about methods, they are simply functions specific for these objects. They are also defined using def keyword. So inside this person class, let's define new method, print class name, and each method takes self as its first argument. This self refers to this instance itself. This can be named anything, but in Python community, it's a convention to write it as self. I would recommend that you follow this convention. Don't worry about this self thing. It's a little bit complicated, but you will understand this in just a little bit. Inside the method body, simply print I am an instance of person class. We can also write documentation for functions and methods using triple quotes. Here, let's write simple documentation explaining what this method does. This method prints class name. Let's restart our Python shell and load our updated person class. Create an instance of person class p1. We saw in earlier videos that we can get all the methods of this object using dir function. So if I write dir p1, I can see all the methods defined for this person object. And I can see that it has this print class name method. If I try help p1.print class name, it will show the documentation of this method. We can see the description we provided in these triple quotes here. We can call this method using the dot notation. We write p1.print class name and it prints our statement. We can also utilize the object attributes inside these methods. Let's define another method that will print this person's age. Describe. This simply prints the description of this person with age using appstring. Now this method has a little bit different convention. You can see that we don't have to pass the age argument to this method. Attributes are attached to the self object so we can access them using self.age. So let's print I am self.age years old. Restart our interactive cell. Create new person P1, and now if I invoke describe method on it, it prints I am 21 years old. If I create another object P2, and if I modify the age of this person to 32, now if I invoke the describe method of this object, it prints I am 32 years old. You can see that methods and attributes are attached to objects, and they are different for each instance of the same class. That's all about creating simple classes and objects. In the next video, we will see the init method, which is used to create new objects. So thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next video.